Shalom, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and the other prophets of Great Millstone as well. And shalom to the few brothers and sisters that may be tuning in. Hopefully you guys find this lesson edifying. So today's lesson is on the noble vine, which is, who Jake is supposed to be. Jake's supposed to be the noble vine. He's created as a noble vine, but, today the majority of Jake, 2/3 have gone off. We're created to be perfect, honor Yahweh Bahashem Yoshai always, but Jake has gone off. So I'm just gonna dive right into the first verse here because it goes right to the point. So Jeremiah 2 and starting at 21 here. Yet I had planted thee a noble vine, holy and a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? Right, so even if you read in the NLT here, but I was the one who planted you, choosing a vine of the purest stock, the very best. How did you grow into this corrupt wild vine? And if you actually dive into wild here, let's see, vine foreign. Because this is an NLT, you can't dive into wild, but foreign, alien, foreign woman, harlot. Hey man, same thing, right? Unknown, unfamiliar. If you actually dive into wild, I want to bring up etymology. So the etymology says on wild, because see, in the natural state, uncultivated, untamed, undomesticated, right? Uncontrolled. So just out here doing a whole bunch of foolishness. And that's Jake right now. Just no sexual, dissolute, loose, distracted with excitement or emotion, crazy. Yeah, man, that's Jake right now, a wild vine. So they have no base, they have no understanding, they have no base that they follow. They have no faith, right? They have no statutes that they live by. Verse 22, no amount of soap or lye can make you clean. I still see the stain of your guilt. I, the sovereign Yahweh, sovereign power Yahweh, have spoken. You say, that's not true. I have worshipped the images. I haven't worshipped the images of Baal. But how can you say that? Go and look in any valley in the land. Face the awful sins you have done. You are like a restless female camel, desperately searching for a mate. So Khan, man, that's Jake today. Always going into different idols and do a whole bunch of different foolishness, right? Like a lot of Jake today, they always talk about how they're from Egypt or Rasta or all these different so-called faiths. I'm spiritual, whatever that means. They say they're spiritual, following things that have no actual base, talking about their empty inner man. When you're supposed to really look at your inner man, but when they say they're spiritual, they're talking about other gods, right? So that's Jake today. I'm going to bring up Deuteronomy 32 and start at 9 here. For the people of Israel belong to Yahweh, our power. Jacob is his special possession. Right? So again, he created us as a special, as a perfect vine, a special people. He found them in the desert land, in an empty, howling wasteland. So we had no base without him. Right? He surrounded them and watched over them. He guarded them, and he would guard his own eyes. So he created us. He protected us. He guided us. Gave us the law, but we still became corrupt. But this is this that he created us to be perfect, but we still became corrupt, right? And this is where we're gonna be diving into next here at Isaiah 5. What could have been done more to my vineyard, that I have not done it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, but it brought forth wild grapes. So again, what's wild, right? What's wild grapes? Grapes that are uncultivated, untamed, undomesticated. So it didn't bring through proper fruit. Like, people are not fruitful. And if they are, so-called fruitful, they it's not the fruit that Yahweh Bahashem Yoshai wants. Actually, let me read up from verse 1. Now I'll sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. Right? And then he fenced. Let me actually read it in LT. Now I'll sing for the one I love a song about his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a rich and fertile hill. So again, gave us the law, guided us, protected us. It was a fertile setting. We were made to grow and become fruitful there, and praise Yahweh Shem Shai. He plowed the land, cleared its stones, and planted it with the best vines. The best vines were made to be on top of the best, right? In the middle, he built a watchtower and carved a winepress in the nearby rocks. So again, he guided us, protected us, gave us Yahweh Shem Shai, gave us faith, gave us the laws and statutes. Then he waited for the harvest of sweet grapes, but the grapes that grew were bitter. So he gave us everything we needed to grow and to become fruitful, but we chose a different path and became bitter. Right? All our works became bitter to Yahweh Shem Shai. Now you people of Jerusalem and Judah, so you know who he's talking to, you judge between me and my vineyard. What more could I have done for my vineyard that I have not already done? When I expect sweet grapes, why did my vineyard give me bitter grapes? Right? So he gives everything we needed. And again, it's talking about how, the vineyard is a chosen people. It's not just talking about everyone in the earth, it's a chosen people. Right? So we didn't follow, he gives everything we needed, but we didn't make proper fruits. We didn't make sweet fruits. So what we're doing is bitter unto Yahweh Shem Shai, like smoke in his nostrils, right? Another precept to that is Hosea 10:1. How prosperous Israel is, a luxuriant vine loaded with fruit. But the richer the people get, the more pagan altars they build, the more bountiful their harvest, the more beautiful their sacred pillars. So the more comfortable they get, the richer they get in this world, man. They start to create altars to these other so-called gods. The hearts of the people are fickle; they are guilty and must be punished. Our power Yahweh will break down their altars and smash their sacred pillars, which he's done multiple times, right? So, amen. The nation looked prosperous outwardly, but instead of producing righteousness, they multiplied the idols, right? So, yeah, man, they started just diving deeper and deeper into wickedness, which is not what he created us to do, but it's what we did. It's what the people of Israel did, right? Dive into Deuteronomy 32 here as the next precept. Let's see. Start at 15 in the NLT, because it shows this dives into what Israel kept on doing. But it says, but Israel soon became fat and unruly. Exactly what happened in the last precept. The people grew heavy, plump, and stuffed. They got comfortable, right? Then they abandoned Yahweh, whom had made them. They made light of the rock of their salvation. They stirred up his jealousy by worshiping foreign powers. They provoked his fury with detestable deeds. Right? Showing a screenshot of this here as well. Detestable deeds. They offered sacrifices to demons. That's what these other so-called gods are, demons, right? Which are not our power, right? It's not Yahweh. To these so-called powers they had not known before. The new powers only recently arrived, which they created with their own hands. Actually, goes into this in another precept. To powers their ancestors had never feared, right? They created with their own hands, and then they worship what they created. You neglect the rock who had fathered you, so they neglect Yahweh Shem Shai, just like today. These other camps saying that Yahweh Shai isn't important, right? Saying that you can just call him, what have they said? Nigga God, or something along those lines, paraphrasing here. But they call him all these other names, and you can call him anything you want, right? You neglect the rock who had fathered you. You forgot the power who had given you birth, right? So they reject Yahweh Shem Shai, who came in the flesh but was perfect, saying he's not perfect, and reject the followings, the teachings, the laws of Yahweh, right? And they reject the prophets as well. They keep on forsaking Yahweh. So this, it goes into the process of how Israel keeps on getting more and more corrupted. Next, I want to dive into, let's see here, 2 Chronicles. Here we go. 2 Chronicles 36. And let's go to 14 here. Likewise, all the leaders of the priests, when reading the NLT, likewise, all the leaders of the priests and the people became more and more unfaithful. See, again, gradually became more and more unfaithful. It always talks about this, right? They followed all the pagan practices of the surrounding nations, desecrating the temple of Yahweh that had been consecrated in Jerusalem. Just like today, they follow all these so-called holy days, but they're not actually holy days. They're holy days of other nations or other detestable so-called gods, right? Our power Yahweh of their ancestors repeatedly sent his prophets to warn them, for he had compassion on his people and his temple. He wouldn't send the prophets if he didn't care, right? He keeps trying to bring us back, but man, a lot of Jake keep ignoring the signs. Even as we're on the highways and byways or the videos, there's a lot of information out there, but that Jake makes fun of them. Oh, you think you're an Israelite? You think you're a black Israelite? They always say that shit, right? I've heard people at the gym say that. Right, they don't know what faith I follow, like to that extent. They don't know me like that, but they'll be like, oh, you mean, they might say something, and they'll be like, oh, you mean black Israelites? Oh, they're always mocked. But the people mocked these messengers, yeah, they mocked them, of Yahweh and despised their words. They scoffed at the prophets until Yahweh's anger could no longer be restrained and nothing could be done. Right, and that's the time that's going to be coming. That's the time that's coming. So hey. Yeah, man, the prophecies keep on getting checked off one by one. Like in I think it was Canada, the bill C9 was passed, where it's, you can't spout things against these these small hatters. You can't spout the truth. You can't say anything offensive, or else you can be charged or go to jail, or videos be taken down. So man, sooner than later, these videos are going to stop going up, because we're going to be persecuted for them. Even our past videos they might persecute us for. But yeah, man, the prophecies are checking off one by one. And even Edomites know this, or potentially looking at Edomites. Another guy at the gym the other day, he walked in, I didn't see him for time, but we immediately just started talking about the Bible. He actually mentioned, he's like, yeah, man, things are getting messed up around here. It's very important to have your faith. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know this guy was he was into the Bible. But started talking about the prophecies and stuff, right? So a lot of people see these prophecies coming true. A lot of people are trying to turn back to the Bible, to their ways, right? And again, this guy looked like an Edomite, but he could have been a Jake. But yeah, man. Next precept here, Jeremiah 7 and start at 24. But my people would not listen to me. They kept doing whatever they wanted. Hey, again today, they take their so-called free will and go and do foolishness, following stubborn desires of their evil hearts. And heart means mind, right? Their lob. So they keep following the desires of their mind. They're just following the outward man. They went backward instead of forward. They kept getting worse. They never got better. They just keep getting worse. A lot of Jakes just keep worse and worse and worse. They're waxing worse. From the day your ancestors left Egypt until now, from back then. That's how long we've been going off, right? That's why we're in the current state that we're in. I've continued to send my servants, the prophets, day in and day out, but they don't hearken unto the prophets. But my people have not listened to me or even tried to hear. They have been stubborn and sinful, even worse than their ancestors. And man, that goes to show how much grace that we currently have, because you already know he's furious for thousands of years. Just the Jake is not listening. That's why we were put into slavery, right? Jake is not listening. Like if it wasn't for Yahweh Shai, we would have already been judged. We would have been destroyed. But hey, man, it's through the mercy that we're still alive currently. All right, so hey, man. And again, this word's going to stop being spread soon. So man, people need to tap in. Next precept here is Deuteronomy 28. Going out to 64 here. But yeah, man, that's why and there's Jake all over the earth. That's why we always say we don't know. Someone could look like an Edomite, but could be a Jake, right? It says here, for Yahweh will scatter you among all the nations from one end of the earth to the other. There you will worship foreign gods that neither you nor your ancestors have known, powers made of wood and stone, and that's what they do today. So Jake is all over the earth, and they're always worshiping these other so-called gods, these different so-called religions, right? A lot of them become Muslim, right? They follow they worship the woman goddess, right? Catholics, all these other detestable things, so-called gods, right? And it says in Leviticus that he will scatter you among the heathen. This makes the point, this is exactly where we are today. And I want to dive back into Second Chronicles here. No, I think that's actually, I already got Second Chronicles, right? Yes. So I actually want to go to Romans 11. Romans 11, bear with me for a second here. But yeah, Jake just keep going off. They keep getting worse and worse. That's why the space needs to be, destroyed. These 2/3 need to be burnt up and remade. Read verse 20 here in NLT. Yes, but remember those branches were broken off. Broken off to make room for me. I should not start at 18. Start at 17. I read it in the King James version. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, wert grafted among them. And wild olive tree means someone that didn't grow within, the faith. You're born in this world. A lot of Jake today, right? We're born in this world. We're following heathenistic ways, but then we are grafted among them, like we are brought back into the truth, and with them partake of the root and fatness of the olive tree, right? Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say, then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith, but be not high-minded, but fair. Right? So, we boast in our faith. We're proud of our faith, right? But we're thankful every single day because, hey man, Yahweh Shemashai could take that faith away from us. Right? We hope that some of the 2/3, we hope that some more Jake come on to, return to the faith, but hey man, there's only 144,000 that's going to make it. But yeah, we try not to be boastful. We're fearful every day, right? And we've seen, leaders of these so-called leaders of other camps do detestable things. Even people of GMS that were part of GMS before, that were, leaders or higher up in their camps, they were exposed. That's why it's scary, man. It can give you the faith for a portion of time, and it may set you as an example. So it says, be not high-minded, but fair. For if Yahweh spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Exactly. So if he didn't spare the people that were, that grew up with the laws and with the faith, grew up amongst the laws and the statutes, he can also not spare you. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Yahweh on them which fell, severity, but toward thee goodness. If thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou also shalt be cut off. So you need to stay faithful, or else you will be cut off. This is why faith is so important today. Because, Israel fell off because of unbelief, lack of faith. So you need to make sure you stay strong in your faith. Next one to bring out here, Luke. Let's dive into Luke 3. Luke 3 and 17 here. Whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor, and will gather the wheat into his garner, but the chaff he will burn with fire unquenchable. Right, so it says in NLT, he is ready to separate the chaff from the wheat. Yeah, can we actually dive into purge the floor, dive into what chaff is? See if it actually explains it here. Stalk of grain from which the kernels have been beaten out. Straw broken up and threshing machine chaff. So it's the part you don't need. Chaff is the part you don't need, right? So he's ready to separate the chaff from the wheat. So he got the wheat. He got what he wanted, right? And separate the chaff from the wheat with his winnowing fork. Then he can clean up the threshing area, gathering the wheat into his barn. So gathering the wheat into a safe place, but burning the chaff with never-ending fire. Right? So burning it with unquenchable fire. It's not going to be never-ending, but burning up the 2/3 for their unfaithfulness. And then we taking the spirits, remaking them into a faithful people. But there's going to be a chosen people, right? And it says this over and over again in the scriptures. It's going to be chosen people. that kept their faith, the 144, the 1/3. But the 2/3 are going to be, destroyed when Yahushua returns. I'm going to dive into Isaiah 10. Here's the next precept. In that day, the remnant left in Israel, the survivors in the house of Jacob, will no longer depend on allies who seek to destroy them, but they will faithfully trust in Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel. Right? And the remnant will return. Yes, the remnant of Jacob will return to the mighty power, Yahweh. That's exactly what they just talked about in the last verse, the last precept. There's only a remnant will be saved here. But though the people of Israel are numerous as the sand of the seashore, only a remnant of them will return. Our power has rightly decided to destroy his people. So only the faithful will be saved when the Jacob's trouble, well, post Jacob trouble or during Jacob trouble. Only a remnant will be saved and not burnt up with the chaff. Not all of Israel is going to be saved, man. The 2/3 talks about this over and over and over again. But yet some of these a lot of these Christians talk about how everyone can be saved. Oh, you're sodomite, you can be saved. You're Muslim, you can be saved. You just need to repent. Like, no, man. You have to have a true faith and understanding of the scriptures. The right understanding of the scriptures, not Jesus, restoration, the great ending. I want to finish off with a few more precepts here just to finish off. Isaiah 60. And 21. That people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. So hey, man, it's that's prophecy. We're gonna receive, from one of those people, the hopeful elect is going to receive the lands and be glorified, right? So that Yahweh Shai could be Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai could be glorified. And last but not least, I want to bring out Ezekiel 36 and start at 24. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness and from all your idols, and will I cleanse you. So that's part of that is going to be these physical bodies being destroyed, and we're going to be given new spiritual bodies that are always clean, always strong, never break down, right? Strong in faith, mentally and physically. A new heart, again, which is your mind, your lob. I don't know if I actually can dive into that here. New heart. See again, so yeah, lav or lob. Inner man, the mind, the will, the heart, the understanding, inner part, mist. So yeah, man, the heart of man, the soul, the heart. So yeah, the lob is the mind, right? So a new heart will also, so new mind also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. So we're getting a whole new mind, right? Mind that will never be going off again. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. So that's and we're not there yet, right? So some of these camps talk about how we're already in the new kingdom. We're not there. Jake still goes off a lot. That's where the 2/3 is still out there. You see it every single day, shooting up places, doing foolishness, following other so-called gods, or doing a whole bunch of foolishness. And we're not in our rulership. We don't have our new bodies. Right? We're in these achy bodies every single day. Back hurting at 25, back hurting at 30. Yeah, we're not there yet. But that's the state that he's going to put us into. But for now, yeah, man, we're waiting for the prophecies to come true so that we can get to that point, right? So, hopefully you found this lesson edifying. Again, going into the noble vine, the state we're supposed to be in, and the current state that we are in. So with that, I'm going to close up. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and other prophets of Great Millstone for teaching the truth and sincerity, and shalom to the brothers and few sisters that may be tuning in.